Are you planning on spending a day or two in Vancouver before or after a cruise? Perhaps an Alaska cruise? Are you looking for things to do with your day in Vancouver? Today I'm going to walk you through a tour that I took the day before a cruise from Vancouver. It was an all-day tour to Grouse Mountain and the Capilano Suspension Bridge Park. There were a few other things included as well. It was a very full day, and today I'm going to tell you all about it, show you what to expect, go over how much it cost, and let you know all of the details so that you can decide whether or not this is a good choice for your day in Vancouver. We have a lot to cover, so let's get started. First things first, I took this tour just before cruising on Cunard Cruise Line's Queen Elizabeth. We sailed out of Vancouver. I arrived the day before and needed something to do. I looked on TripAdvisor for things to do and tours in Vancouver. I found this one, which looked great. It was called Grouse Mountain and Capilano Suspension Bridge Park, and it was offered by Gray Line West Coast Sightseeing. Now let me mention it was offered by other companies as well, but this is the company I chose to go with. The reason I chose this tour is because I wanted a way to get out into nature and see the mountains, see unusual things outside in Vancouver. I wanted to explore, and I wanted someone to guide me around the area. This tour promised many different things in the course of one day, so let's look at what the tour promised. First of all, this was an all-day tour, well over 6 hours. And what they promised was they would pick you up at your hotel, and then they would transport you to Grouse Mountain. All of your tickets and fees for entering the park and enjoying all of the many attractions there were included. You would then be taken to the Capilano Suspension Bridge Park, and your ticket to the park would be covered. You would also visit a salmon hatchery, and at the end of the day, they would return you either to your hotel or to the Canada Place, Port of Vancouver. This all sounded great to me. The cost of the tour was $192. I have never been picked up for a tour at my hotel before, and I did have my doubts, but the driver showed up right on time, and before I knew it, I was on the bus with the rest of my tour mates, and we were on our way to Grouse Mountain. Our driver took the scenic route and drove us through Stanley Park, and that had all kinds of interesting things to see from the bus. On a side note, let me say it was very fun to drive across the Lions Gate Bridge knowing that the next day I would be cruising underneath it. When we arrived at Grouse Mountain, the first thing we did, of course, was get on the skyride to go to the top of the mountain. The top of the mountain is where all of the extra attractions are. Of course, the skyride itself is also a thrill, but let me take a moment here while we climb the mountain and explain to you all there is to do on Grouse Mountain. First of all, let me explain that I visited this place in September of 2024. What was available to me was the skyride to the top of the mountain, wildlife viewing, a ranger talk, a lumberjack show. We could view these massive, amazing carvings I will show you more of in a minute, and there was a modified version of the chairlift ride available. We also had access to gift shops and a cafe. As you can see, the ride up and down the mountain is very scenic, just beautiful, well worth going. I do want to mention that if you are someone with claustrophobia, you might want to think twice about this tour. This particular part of the tour had us crammed into the skyride just as tightly as possible. We were really all wedged in there very tightly, and if that's something that's going to bother you, you may want to think twice. At the top of the mountain, the fun began right away. Our tour guide did a great job explaining to us all that was available. He escorted us to the heart of the wildlife viewing area, which is a sanctuary. He made it very clear how much time we had to ourselves and where to meet and when. At that point, we all went our separate ways to do the things we most wanted to do. I went straight to the chairlift because I was really looking forward to this. The chairlift was a short ride, about 10 or 15 minutes each way. It didn't really go anywhere. Once you got off the chairlift, there wasn't a lot to see or do at the other end, but I still wanted to ride the chairlift just for the experience of being able to look around and be up high in the air. It was very foggy and chilly up there. If you go during the cooler months, make sure you bring some layers, and you may want to pack a waterproof jacket. I thought the chairlift was a lot of fun, and afterwards I spent some time in the wildlife viewing area admiring these two grizzly bears. Now these two bears are named Grinder and Kula, and they were orphaned as cubs, and that is why they live here. Also available in this area was a lumberjack show. This was shown while we were there. We had plenty of time to go see it if we wanted to. I elected to skip the lumberjack show in favor of doing some other things, but this was definitely an option. It looked like a lot of fun, very exciting, and it was included in your admission. So much room to wander around at your own pace. And one of the main things to do as well was to walk down this pathway and view these massive carvings. These are carved into actual trees, and they are just incredible. Beautiful, amazing artwork made by hand and just spectacular. At that point, it was time to wrap it up and head to the next part of our day. Here's a quick look at the bus that we used to get all around town that day. Plenty of room for everybody, and it was very warm inside. It was only about a 15-minute drive to the Capilano Suspension Bridge Park. As much fun as Grouse Mountain was, this park was even better. Now, there is a lot to do at this Suspension Bridge Park. Obviously, the Suspension Bridge is number one, but I'm going to show you some of the other things to see while you're there. The very first thing our tour guide did was lead us on a cliff walk. This is a really amazing opportunity to walk around on these thin little boards actually around a cliff. You are very high off the ground. You're up among the treetops. It's gorgeous. Now, obviously, there is fencing, very high fencing on either side of you. It's not possible at all to fall off. It's not dangerous in any ways. If you're terrified of heights, this might not be for you. But I thought it was very exciting, very interesting, such a great way to see beautiful scenery. Now, this suspension bridge really does rock and sway and bounce. It is a lot of fun. Again, if you're terrified of heights, this probably isn't the tour for you. But this is a family-friendly event. The bridge alternated between being mostly empty and being completely packed shoulder to shoulder. So the experience you get is going to depend somewhat on how many people are on the bridge when you are. The more people on the bridge, the more it is swaying and rocking. You could stay on the bridge as long as you want. You could walk back and forth as many times as you liked. It was really fun. So in addition to the suspension bridge and the cliff walk, they had an amazing gift shop. It was huge. It had tons of clothing and souvenirs and all kinds of different things to see. They had a place where you could get waffle sundaes. They had an ice cream shop and different places to sit outside and relax and just enjoy the day. It was a beautiful area, a very nice little park, a wonderful way to spend a few hours. At this point in the day, we had one last stop to make, and that was at a salmon hatchery. This was a short stop. We were there 30 minutes, maybe a little bit less. This was not the most interesting part of the day by any means, but if you're interested in seeing a hatchery, maybe seeing some salmon up close, this is your opportunity. We wrapped up our day here, and then the bus took us back to Canada Place Port, and that was the end of our tour. Now that I've walked you through our entire day, let's recap and go over what the tour promised, what it delivered, and whether or not I thought it was worth the money. First of all, did we get to do everything we were supposed to? Absolutely. Secondly, were there any problems? No, there were no problems of any kind. The tour began and ended on time. The driver made it to my hotel on time with no trouble, and the entire day went smoothly. Next up, do I feel it was worth $192? I do. Now let me mention I was traveling solo. If there were 2 or 3 of us in the group, I don't know that I would spend $400 or $600 on this tour for the day for all of us. But because I was traveling solo, this was ideal for me. It was a way to get out and see lots of different things. I was going to have the safety of a group and the experience of a guide. Now, of course, there are many options for things to do in Vancouver, but this is exactly what I wanted to do with my day. I have 0 complaints about the day. So for me, it was worth the money. Now, one last thing I want to mention before we wrap up this video. I went to visit Grouse Mountain in September of 2024. And as you can see, the weather was foggy, it was chilly, and you may be looking at that footage and thinking that doesn't look very exciting. Well, for me, it was exciting enough and I enjoyed it. However, what I want you to know is that if you visit Grouse Mountain in the summer or in the spring, there are many more things to do other than the things I already showed you. If you go to their website, which I will link in the description box below, you will see all of the different things to do in the warmer summer months. They have things like zip lining, tree canopies. There is a presentation with wild birds of prey. There is just a lot more outdoor things to do. So if you're planning on visiting Vancouver in the summer and you're looking at Grouse Mountain and wondering if it's a good enough day for you, if there's enough things to do, especially if you have little ones with you, you might want to go to their website and check out all of the things that they offer in the warmer months. That wraps up today's video. I hope this was helpful to you in planning whether or not this particular tour is good for your one day in Vancouver before or after a cruise. If you have been to any of these places that I've already mentioned and you have a tip or comment or opinion for your fellow cruiser, please leave a comment and let us know what you think. I hope this video was helpful to you, and I thank you so much for stopping by and visiting today. I hope you have a great day and enjoy your next cruise. Bye-bye.